The cracks beneath the surface. The first time Jason noticed something was off, it was a Thursday. Lila had always been predictable, her yoga mat by the door every Tuesday and Thursday, her gym bag packed the night before. But that morning, the mat was still rolled in the closet, dust gathering on its edges. "Forgot my class was canceled," she'd said. Not meeting his eyes, he let it go. 12 years of marriage had taught him the rhythm of her breaths, the way her fingers curled around her coffee cup when she was tired. But lately, her body was a language he couldn't decipher. She slept facing the wall. Laughter at his jokes felt rehearsed. Even their bed, once warm with tangled limbs, now felt like a negotiation. "You're quiet," he murmured one night, tracing her shoulder blade. "Tired," she said, pulling the sheets higher. The lies were small at first. A missed call she didn't mention. ARECEIPT for a cafe he'd never heard of. Then came the perfume, something sharp and floral. Nothing like the vanilla she usually wore. When he asked, she shrugged. Sampled it at the mall. But Jason knew. Logistics. He managed supply chains for a living. Gaps in patterns were his specialty. The breaking point was their anniversary dinner. He'd booked the same Italian place where they'd celebrated their engagement. Lila wore the emerald dress he loved, but her smile was tight, her fingers drumming the tablecloth. Halfway through dessert, a man approached tall, broad-shouldered, with a grin that made Jason's stomach twist. "Lila," the man said, pulling her into a hug that lasted a beat too long. Jason's fork clattered against his plate. "This is Nathan," Lila said, her voice bright. "An old friend." Nathan's hand lingered on her waist. "Heard so much about you," he told Jason, though his eyes never left Lila's face. The rest was a blur. Lila's pleading look, Nathan's smirk, the way the candlelight caught the gold in her hair as she let him lead her to the dance floor. Jason stood so fast, his chair toppled. He left without a word, the necklace he'd bought her still in his pocket. The motel room smelled like bleach and regret. He scrolled through his phone, 7 missed calls, all from Lila. He didn't answer. Instead, he stared at the ceiling and wondered when the woman he loved had become a stranger. The office of Marcus Vale smelled like stale coffee and printer ink. A former cop turned private investigator, Marcus had the kind of face that blended into crowds unremarkable, forgettable. Exactly what Jason needed. "You think she's cheating?" Marcus said, not looking up from his notes. Jason clenched his jaw. "I think she's lying." Marcus flipped a page. Same difference, usually. Jason handed over a list: Lila's schedule, the cafe receipts, the name Nathan, the restaurant where they'd danced. Marcus scanned it, then leaned back in, his creaking chair, $2,000 up front. "I'll follow her for a week. If there's something, I'll find it." Jason slid an envelope across the desk. "I want proof." Marcus smirked. "You'll get it." The first 3 days yielded nothing. Tuesday. 6:15 p.m., Lila drove to a coffee shop, sat alone, scribbled in a notebook. No Nathan, no secret lover, just her, a latte, and a frown. Thursday, 7:02 p.m., she parked outside the yoga studio, but never went in. Instead, she scrolled through her phone, her fingers pausing over a text thread before she drove away. Saturday, 9:33 a.m., a farmer's market. She bought sunflowers, Jason's favorite, then left without speaking to anyone. Jason. Read Marcus's updates with growing frustration. "She's hiding something," he muttered to himself, in the motel bathroom, splashing cold water on his face. But what? Then on the 4th day, Marcus called. "She didn't go to work today," he said. "She drove to St. Mary's Hospital. Stayed for 2 hours. Jason's pulse spiked. Was she sick? She met someone. A photo buzzed on Jason's phone, grainy, taken from a distance. Lila stood in the hospital parking lot, hugging the same man from the restaurant. Nathan, but this time, her shoulders were slumped, her face buried in his chest like she was crying. Jason's stomach turned to stone. That night he broke his own. Rulin called her. She answered on the second ring, her voice raw. "Jason." "Who the hell is Nathan?" He demanded silence. Then a shaky breath. "You followed me? You danced with him in front of me? What did you expect?" Another pause. When she spoke again, her voice was quiet. "He's my brother." Jason froze. "What? His name isn't Nathan?" "Dante." Her words tumbled out now, rushed and desperate. "He's been in prison for the last 8 years. Got out last month, and I didn't know how to tell you." Jason's grip on the phone tightened. "Why not?"
"Because he..."
"Never let him near Mia." The air left his lungs. "Their daughter." Of course, Lila's voice cracked. "He's trying to start over, Jason, but he's still him, and I didn't want you to look at me like I was bringing danger into our home." Jason sat on the edge of the motel bed, his anger unraveling into something heavier. "Lied to me? I was scared," she whispered. He swallowed hard. "We don't lie to each other, Lila. Ever." The line went quiet, and barely audible. "I know." Jason hung up. For the first time since he'd left, he didn't feel betrayed. He felt lost. Jason sat in his truck outside St. Mary's Hospital, engine off, hands gripping the wheel. The morning sun glared through the windshield, but he barely blinked. Dante Lila had a brother. A brother with a prison record. A brother she'd hidden from him for years. His phone buzzed. Another text from Lila. "Please let me explain." He didn't reply. Instead, got out of the truck and walked into the hospital. The receptionist barely glanced up as he approached. "I'm looking for Dante Reyes," he said. The woman typed lazily. "Are you family?" Jason hesitated. "Yes." She squinted at the screen. "4th floor. Oncology." Oncology. His stomach dropped. The elevator ride felt like an eternity. When the doors slid open, the sterile scent of antiseptic filled his lungs. Nurses moved in hushed efficiency, shoes squeaking against the linoleum. Room 412. Jason stood outside the door, his pulse hammering. He didn't know what he expected, some hardened criminal maybe. A man who'd drag Lila back into a life she'd left behind. But when he pushed the door open, the man in the bed was gaunt, his dark hair streaked with premature gray, his wrists too thin beneath the hospital bracelet. Dante Reyes looked sick, and he wasn't alone. Lila sat beside him, her fingers wrapped around his. When she saw Jason, she stiffened. "You shouldn't be here," she whispered. Dante's eyes flicked too. "Jason, so you're the husband." His voice was rough like gravel. Jason didn't move. "What's wrong with you?" Dante smirked. "Stage 4 lymphoma. Docs say I've got 6 months. Maybe." The words hit Jason like a punch. Lila's eyes were red-rimmed raw. He reached out to me after his diagnosis, she said quietly. "I didn't know how to tell you. You'd never what?" Jason snapped. "Never let you see your own brother?" "No." Dante coughed, wincing. "She was scared you'd take Mia away if you knew she was talking to an ex-con." Jason stared at Lila. "You really think I'd do that?" She looked down. "No." The heart monitor beeped in the silence. Later, in the hospital cafeteria, Lila finally told him the truth. Dante had gone to prison for armed robbery, a botched gas station holdup when he was 22. No one got hurt, but he'd gotten 8 years. "He was all I had growing up," she said, stirring her coffee absently. "Our parents were not good people. Dante protected me, and he got locked up, and I met you, and I wanted a fresh start." Jason exhaled. "So you never told me. Would you have married me if you knew?" The question hung between them. Jason didn't answer. That night he drove back to the motel, his mind racing. Lila had lied, but not for an affair, for family. His phone buzzed again. "Can we talk this time?" he replied. "Meet me tomorrow." Our spot, **. The rain came down in sheets as Jason pulled into the hospital parking lot, the windshield wipers fighting a losing battle against the storm. He killed the engine but didn't move. Watching through the downpour as a figure emerged from the hospital doors, Lila, hunched under a flimsy umbrella, her face pale under the fluorescent lights. She hadn't seen him yet. Jason's fingers tightened around the steering wheel. 8 years of marriage, and he was sitting in a rental car spying on his own wife like some jealous boyfriend. The thought made his stomach churn. His phone buzzed. Another update from Marcus. Subject: exited hospital at 8:47 p.m. No additional contacts observed. Jason didn't reply. He already knew where she was going next. The diner was nearly empty when Lila slipped inside, the bell above the door jingling softly. Jason waited 5 minutes before following. It's the smell of burnt coffee and grease hitting him as he stepped inside. She sat in a corner booth, her back to the wall. Across from Hertha, man from the restaurant. Dante up close, Jason could see the resemblance. The same sharp cheekbones, the same stubborn set to the jaw. But where Lila's eyes were warm brown, Dante's were flat, calculating. A predator's. Gaze. Jason slid into the adjacent booth, keeping his head down. The vinyl seat creaked under his weight. "I can't keep doing this," Lila was saying, her voice low but urgent. Jason knows something's wrong. Dante stirred his coffee, the spoon clinking against the chipped mug. "So tell him the truth. You know I can't, because you're ashamed of me." Dante's smile didn't reach his eyes. "Or because you're scared he'll take Mia away when he finds out what you really are." Jason went very still. Lila's hands trembled around her own cup. "That's not fair. None of this is fair." Dante leaned forward, his voice dropping to a whisper. "You got out. You've got the house, the husband, the kid. Meanwhile, I've got 3 months left, Lila. 3 months." The words hit Jason like a physical blow. 3 months? Lila's breath hitched. "I'm trying to help you, then help me faster." Dante's fingers closed around her wrist, his grip just shy of painful. "I didn't come back to die in some hospice, okay? I came back to make things right." Jason was halfway out of his seat before he realized he'd moved. Lila's head snapped up, her eyes widening when she saw him. Jason. Dante released her arm, his smirk returning. Well. The husband finally shows up. The diner seemed to tilt around Jason. What the hell is going on? Lila opened her mouth, but Dante spoke first. "Your wife's been lying to you," he said almost cheerfully. "But not about me." He reached into his jacket and slid a faded photograph across the table. "She's been lying about this." Jason looked down. The photo showed a younger Lila, maybe 19, standing in front of a run-down house. Beside her, a man Jason recognized instantly. Vincent Salvatore, Miami's most notorious crime boss. The drive home was silent. Lila sat stiffly in the passenger seat, the photo clutched in her hands. Jason could feel the words building between them, thick and suffocating. Finally, she spoke. "Vincent was my father." Jason didn't react. "He died when I was 20, she continued, her voice hollow. "Dante and we got out. Changed our names, started over," a shaky breath. "I never told you because I wanted to protect Mia from that life. From me." Jason's knuckles whitened on the wheel. "And Dante, he's sick," she whispered. "But that's not why he's here. He's running from someone. And now that he's found me..." She didn't need to finish. Jason pulled into their driveway, the headlights cutting through the dark. Inside, Mia slept peacefully, unaware that her mother's past was crashing down around them. He turned to Lila, his voice barely audible. "Who's after him?" For the first time in years, his wife looked truly afraid. "The same people who killed my father?" The kitchen light flickered as Jason poured 2 fingers of whiskey, the ice cracking like bones in the silence. Lila sat at the table, the photograph of her and Vincent Salvatore between them like a live grenade with the pin pulled. "You should have told me," Jason said, his voice low. Lila's fingers traced the edge of the photo. "Would you have stayed?" The question hung in the air, sharp as a blade. Jason didn't answer. Instead, he slid the glass toward her. "Start from the beginning." 12 years earlier, Lila Reyes was 19 when she watched her father put a bullet in a man's skull. Vincent Salvatore hadn't hesitated. One moment, the warehouse was silent. The next, the gunshot echoed off the concrete walls, the body slumping to the ground like a sack of flour. "Remember this," Cara Mia, Vincent had said, wiping the blood spatter from his cuff. "Loyalty is the only currency that matters in this life," Lila remembered. She also remembered the night the D came for him. the way the windows shattered. Way her father had shoved her and Dante into the panic room. His last words to them, "Run and don't look back." They'd run, changed their names, buried Lila Salvatore and became Lila Whitman. Present-day Jason listened, his whiskey untouched, and Dante Lila's throat worked. He couldn't let go. It did jobs here and there's small stuff at first. Then the robbery. She swallowed. He got caught. I visited him every month, but after Mia was born, you stopped. She nodded. I thought if I cut ties, the past would stay buried. But now he's dragged it back up, Jason finished. His jaw tightened. Who's after him? Lila hesitated. Back door exploded inward. Dante stumbled through, blood streaming from his temple. They found me, he gasped behind him. Headlights flooded the kitchen. Tires screeched. Doors slammed. Lila's face went pale. Oh God. Jason was already moving, yanking open the gun safe beneath the sink. Get Mia. Somewhere outside, a voice shouted. In Spanish, a shotgun racked. Dante met Jason's eyes, his own wide with something like apology. Welcome to the family, he said. The first gunshot shattered the kitchen window. Jason reacted on instinct. He grabbed Lila and shoved her to the floor as glass rained down around them. Dante was already moving, blood streaking down his face as he lunged for the back door and slammed it shut, throwing the deadbolt. Mia, Lila screamed, scrambling toward the stairs. Jason didn't stop her. He yanked the pistol from the safe, checked the magazine, and turned to Dante. How many? Dante wiped at the blood dripping into his eye. 3, maybe 4. Another shot. The wood of the door splintered. Jason didn't hesitate. He grabbed Dante by the collar and dragged him down beside him. You brought this to my house? Dante's breath came in ragged bursts. I didn't have a choice. Jason. Lila's voice from upstairs was raw with terror. Jason made a decision. He shoved the gun into Dante's hands. Cover the door. Was running, taking the stairs 2 at a time. Mia's room was dark. The only light coming from the glow. Light stars on her ceiling. She sat up in bed, rubbing her eyes. Daddy? Lila already had her in her arms. We have to go, baby, right now. Jason didn't waste time. He wrenched open the closet and pulled out the emergency go bag he kept buried under winter coat's gash. Passports, burner phones. He'd prepared for a lot of scenarios. This wasn't one of them. Downstairs, gunfire erupted. Dante was shouting. Jason grabbed Lila's arm. Back window now. The drop from the second-story roof onto the lawn knocked the air from Jason's lungs. Mia whimpered in Lila's arms as they hit the ground running. Right behind them, the house was a war zone. Shouts. The staccato burst of gunfire. The shattering of glass. Jason didn't look back. He yanked open the door of his truck, shoved Lila and Mia inside, and slammed his foot on the gas. Just as the first figure rounded the corner of the house, the rear window exploded. Mia screamed. Jason swerved onto the road, his heart hammering against his ribs. In the rearview mirror, the house grew smaller, flames licking at the kitchen curtains. Dante was still inside. They drove in silence for hours. Mia slept fitfully in the back seat. Tiny fists clenched around her stuffed rabbit. Lila stared out the window, her face streaked with tears. Jason's hands ached from gripping the wheel. Finally, as dawn broke over the horizon, Lila spoke. He's dead, isn't he? Jason didn't answer. He didn't have to. The motel was a dump. But it was cash-only, and far enough from the state line that no one would look for them yet. Jason parked around back. Out of sight of the road, Lila carried Mia inside while Jason scouted the perimeter. His hand never far from the gun at his waist. When he finally stepped into the room, Lila was sitting on the edge of the bed, watching Mia asleep. She didn't look up as he approached. I'm sorry, she whispered. Jason sank down beside her. He was tired. So damn tired. I know, he said. And for the first time in weeks, she reached for his hand. He let her take it. 3 days later, the news report was brief. Authorities are investigating a fatal shooting at a rural home outside the city. 1 body recovered, no suspects in custody. No mention of Dante. No mention of the Salvatore name. Jason turned off the TV. Across the room, Mia colored quietly at the table, her tongue poking out in concentration. Lila stood at the window, the sunlight catching the gold in her hair. They had a long road ahead. New names, new life. But they were together. For now, that was enough.